That was
You're
supposed
muted,
to be
idiot.
Auto unmute. It was supposed to be auto unmute. It was not an auto unmute.
Oh my God.
That's when you rely on automated
How
things.
many shows have we done? Like 100,000, and you still mute yourself constantly like a dingus?
You know who doesn't mute themselves?
Aaron Rodgers.
Well, yeah. I mean, it'd be nice if that dude had a mute button. Damn, that'd be nice. We'll talk about that slightly, but not dwell on it. We got other stuff to get into. So much stuff to talk about because the NFL's gone crazy. All the craziness in the NFL. Oh my God. Packers making moves. NFL's going bonkers. Mike McCarthy's saying crazy stuff. Everybody saying crazy stuff now. That's all they do.
I don't know anything about any of that stuff.
And on top of it, I have I got the plan for the Packers for the draft already. I watched a little bit of the combine stuff, and I already know what they should do. I already know what I want them to do. I know the plan for success, regardless of who your quarterback is. It's done. But before we get
haven't
to
even
all
seen
of
the
that,
tight ends or
doesn't matter.
defensive backs,
I got
wide receivers.
I got a new plan. Before we get to any of that, the fartiest of fart gun salutes for the team in Wisconsin that just refuses to lose a game. The freaking Milwaukee Bucks, 16 in a row. 16 wins in a row, 18 of their last 19. Brolo shined again the other night. Giannis didn't play, so Brook got to get like 13 rebounds, had like 22 points. They still won. Oh, the Bucks, Jake Crowder's coming in. Even Ingles is hitting threes now. Like everybody's hitting threes. They're going crazy. They're scoring 130, 140 points a game and playing good defense. I'm telling you, bro, the Bucks are going to do it again.
Pretty good.
You got to like your Milwaukee Bucks. All right. I know there's a lot of other stuff to get into, but damn, those Bucks. We should talk about them more. More people should talk about them. William G's here. Packers might take an edge rusher. Oh, William G. No. All right, let's talk about who they should take, Ben. Did you happen to see any of the big guys? Did you watch the D linemen?
A little bit, not too much.
All right, I'm just telling you. Can we just go with this plan? I understand. This would mean Kenny Clark could be our weakest defensive lineman, our worst one by far.
Well, he already is. Oops.
Well, not exactly, but whatever. But here's the point. I watched Kalijah Cansey, and I mean, he just looks like Aaron Donald.
Small.
No, that's that about Aaron Donald too. I don't care.
He has tiny calves. He has the skinniest, scrawniest little legs I've ever seen. He will get shoved around the field. Doesn't matter.
Quick.
They'll use no.
If you have a quick first move.
Just because a guy played in Wisconsin doesn't mean he's good. I don't know why
Wisconsin,
you always.
He's Pitt. He's Pitt.
Well,
he's exactly Aaron Donald 2.0. Exactly.
No.
Aaron Donald. Yes.
He doesn't have. He has a giant butt and scrawny little legs. He has skinny, tiny legs.
I don't care. I want him on my team. And the other guy I want to. So get one of these two guys. If you don't want to go with him, what about Jalen Redmond out of Oklahoma? I know he underperformed in college, but the guy's was a 4-star athlete, 4-star recruit, second fastest 10-yard split at the combine, a great 3-cone, good broad jump, 6'3", 298. Can we just think about having fast, active defensive linemen across the board, except for Kenny Clark, and everybody else in the defensive line can penetrate, can move, can pursue, can do whatever. And can we just dominate the line of scrimmage and win games that way? What do you think about that? Crazy or what?
The Packers don't play that way.
But they could. I'm just saying they could. We invested in Wyatt last year. Let's just go D tackle, D end again, and let's just go crazy and dominate the line of scrimmage. No, and penetrate and put pressure on the quarterback from the inside. Don't worry about the edge rusher. Worry about the inside pass rush. Come on, man. No? Fine.
No.
Whatever.
I just don't. I don't know.
I know it won't happen, but man, I just love
our holes at safety and tight end are too big to ignore.
Too big of holes, huh? Okay.
Yeah. D-line, we're fine.
Yeah, but there's different tight ends you can get. D-line, we're not fine. We haven't been fine at D-line in a long time. Come on.
If they play the right guys, we'll be in good shape.
Oh, yeah? Who's that?
TJ Slayton, Kenny Clark, and frickin' Devontae Wyatt. It's not freaking random brand new thing that happened. Plus, they hardly ever play 3 guys on the defensive line anyways. They usually play 2 guys on the D line and 2 outside linebackers. They play a 4-2-5.
Just give me one more dynamic guy. One more dynamic one you can put in there, help screw stuff up.
Nolan Smith is the guy they should draft.
You change the whole dynamic of everything. The corners would be better. Smith, everybody be better.
He's small, but he's freaking insanity land. If you want to have a guy who just penetrates and destroys crap, that's the guy. I don't think he fall to 15 though.
No, Kalijah Cansey. I know he's
super short. He's got skinny legs and a big fat butt.
6 feet tall. 6 feet tall and 280. That's pretty good.
He's not.
That's pretty good.
I know, but I'm telling you, his legs. He's tiny. Tiny legs. He's gonna get shoved around. He's got no oomph. He's got all butt. He's got all butt and skinny legs.
I liked him in Redmond. I liked him a lot. Oh well. All right, fine.
I mean, I don't know. I gotta watch video on him and stuff.
They'll take an edge rusher. They'll take an edge rusher.
Who's the guy from Wisconsin? That's the D tackle. That's
Keanu.
He's supposed to be halfway decent.
He's a little slow, but he's all right. He's bigger.
Okay. Maybe that's the guy I was thinking of.
He's all right. I mean, he's not a guy I'd pick early, but I don't know. I said, get rid of all this other stuff and just go for one of the big guys and let's just blow them up. But whatever, it's fine.
We already did that last year. We don't need another.
If you played the guy, it might have worked out better.
Yes, but the history of Packers defensive linemen draft picks in the first round is not very good. Okay? Heads up. It's not very good. Justin Harrell, Dayton Jones, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, who didn't play at all last year.
BJ Raji.
Okay, he was good.
He was all right. He was all right, and then he became pretty good.
He was pretty
all
good.
Right. Fine, never mind. I'm just saying that's what stuck out to me, but I didn't watch all of it.
Well, I got to watch this stuff. I don't know. I haven't seen any of it.
I know. We'll get into more of that draft stuff. We got weeks for that after the comment. There's too much crazy stuff going on. All right, Mike McCarthy. What is he?
I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened.
Mike McCarthy, you didn't hear what he said? I
didn't hear.
He said he was throwing Kellen Moore under the bus. He's like, Kellen like to try to light up the scoreboard. And I just want to run the damn ball.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said it was too much of a problem. He just was worried about lighting up the scoreboard. I want to run the damn ball so I can rest my defense. And that's how he wanted to win games. He also wanted to run the damn ball in the 2014 championship game, and that's what cost him the game too.
Wow. Yeah.
Mike McCarthy.
He'll be fired halfway through this year.
He's taking over as the play caller.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for him. It'll be over.
Poor Mike. Oh well, at least he got the Cowboys money, and he kind of screwed him up for 3 years too. So
yeah, that's good.
That's good too. You know, he's good at that. All right, what else do we got? Other crazy stuff in the NFL. Derek Carr visits the Jets. They tell him they love him. Tell him he could be a Hall of Fame quarterback if he plays for the Jets and wins a title there. And then they don't offer him a contract. What? If they really believe that stuff, then offer him a contract. If you don't believe that stuff, don't say it to him. That's not nice. That's not right.
Like I said a couple weeks ago, I don't see the Jets as a fit for Derek Carr. As long as the Jets still believe in Zach Wilson or don't want to waste that number 2 overall pick, why would they sign Derek Carr to a contract of more than a year or two? And I don't think he wants a contract for a year or two. He wants a contract for 4 to 5 years to prove that he is the guy that's going to be there as the starter for that team. And I don't think the Jets will do that. I mean, unless Rodgers doesn't go to them and there's no other options on the table, I think they would go to Jimmy G, because Jimmy G, I think, would sign a 2-year deal. I think they'd go to him over Derek Carr. I'm sorry. Just based on knowledge and just what you would believe in as an organization, right? Like if you believe that Zach Wilson has a talent, you draft him the 2nd overall pick, you believe he's got talent. Obviously, there were issues last year. He's kind of a baby. He doesn't know how to be a leader. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's Aaron Rodgers 2.0. We all know this. But if you want to give up on him already, and I know the fans hate him, but that's dumb. I don't know. I just don't see Derek Carr going there. Derek Carr will be with the Panthers, more than likely. Or that's about it. I think it's the Panthers for Derek Carr.
You think it's the Panthers? Everybody was talking about the Saints forever and ever and ever.
Why would he go to the Saints? The Saints are terrible. Like, they don't have anything. They got too much salary cap. They're going to have to cut a bunch of good players. No. Aaron Rodgers will be a Jet. Derek Carr will be a Panther.
I disagree.
I agree. I agree with myself.
I think I know where Aaron Rodgers is going. I think I know where Aaron Rodgers is going. I'll tell you later. But
49ers?
Yeah, that's where he's going.
Just trade him to the 49ers.
I know. What? Let's talk about
what
that.
I don't know
why in the hell are they
trade him to a team in the NFC. Who gives a crap?
Who cares? Hey, David. How you doing? William G's here already. David's here. How you doing? Mississippi in the house. Look, does anybody care? Like, no. Why do they care? Why would they care? Just trade him wherever. You don't want to eliminate half the teams in the league that could be good trade partners. Number one. Number two, who cares?
Who cares?
Brett Favre stuck it to you. Brett Favre stuck it to you when you tried that route, right? And then after 1 year, he was gone and he found his way back to your rival in the division. So who gives a rip? Just trade him wherever you can get the most for him. And if he happens to win a Super Bowl or beat you in the playoffs, so be it. That was your new quarterback's first year as a starter. You really think the fans are going to be so upset because, Aaron Rodgers beat him in the playoffs just like it happened to Aaron Rodgers? So what, dude? Aaron Rodgers went 6-10 his first year. Nobody, come on. A couple years down the road, no one's going to care. So don't worry about it. It's just dumb. And I think the 49ers is a good fit because what do they got?
Nothing.
They got Trey Lance, who they invested a bunch of stuff in, but they don't like. And they got Brock Purdy, who's hurt. So it's perfect. Get the old guy in there who wanted to play there his whole life anyway. You can sell a bunch of jerseys. He can be happier because he's playing for his original hometown team and blah, blah, blah. And then he won't win a Super Bowl for you either. And then there you go. It's perfect. So just send his ass to San Francisco. I hope that's where he ends up. I really do.
I really see only two teams, and that's the 49ers or the Jets. Because I think the only reason he would ever want to go to another team is to play for his hometown team that he loves, the grown up, like you said, 49ers, or play with Nathaniel Hackett. So he wants to go somewhere he doesn't have to learn a whole new system and doesn't have all the expectations laid on him if they should fail. Now, the 49ers are so loaded that he pretty much would go there because he knows, well, heck, they're loaded. I mean, I can't screw this up. They're going to win it for sure, most likely. Now, he'll probably screw it up, y'all. But in his mind, he'll think, oh, I got all these guys. We'll be good. But watch George Kittle's numbers go down the tubes, by the way. Oh, snap.
That's true. But Deebo Samuel will get a whole bunch of those like behind the line of scrimmage catches because Aaron Rodgers loves to throw those.
And McCaffrey, too. McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel they'll take over the league. They already do, but I mean, they'll even do it more. But it's the only two places I see. I just hope it happens. It seems now like Gute, his press conferences on Tuesday are very, very, very positive in my eyes.
What do you think?
Where it was great. I mean, every time he talks,
word choices and the way
he's less and less and less and less committal. A year ago, it was, we want Aaron Rodgers back, right? 2 years ago, it was, we're not trading Aaron Rodgers. Actually, last year it was, we're not trading Aaron Rodgers. Then halfway through the year, it was, we want all of our guys back. At the end of the season, it was, we want all of our guys back. This time it's, well, I mean, if it's the right fit and we got to have those conversations, and which means they don't want him. And I saw a headline today saying Aaron Rodgers is pretty much done with the Packers. I'm like, I think the Packers are done with you, Aaron Rodgers. It's about time so that we can get our team back. Thank God. But let's make it happen already. He's out of his freaking hole. Let's get him freaking gone. Trade his ass and let's go.
He's so great in the way that, he loves to have everyone talk about him and then tries to complain about people talking about him. And then his comments.
Like Diva baby, you don't like it. Well, he didn't call himself a baby. I call him Diva baby. Diva, if you don't like it, then don't listen. And it's like, well, it's not that we don't like it and we don't want to listen. It's we just want you to freaking be gone already. So just be gone already. Let's go.
I also think it's hilarious that people are trying to say over and over again, you hear like these guys who used to be GMs, right? And they're analysts now, and they're talking from the GM hat. And they're like, the only way you're trained for Aaron Rodgers is if you think you can win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, blah, 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 blah. No. The only way, like, what would make you think that Aaron Rodgers is going to win a Super Bowl? What? History tells you he will not. History tells you he will do something selfish. He will make the game about him, because have you read his comments from his Aubrey Matthews or it wasn't Aubrey Matthews.
Aubrey Matthews. Don't you dare defame Aubrey Matthews' name.
Sorry.
The original.
That would have been nice, though. That would have been a nice little boost for Aubrey Matthews' podcast if Rodgers was going there, right?
Podcast, Aubrey Matthews.
Probably everybody does. Anyway, even clowns like us. But the point is, if you listen to all his comments, it's all about him. It's all about him. Oh my God.
It's always about him.
So much about him. Unbelievable. So what would make you think he's going to win you Super Bowl? No. And I almost guarantee you, there's almost no coach, no offensive coordinator or head coach that wants Aaron Rodgers on their team. I can't even probably think there's not even one in the whole league. If there's an owner that wants him so he can sell jerseys and make money, that's it. So that's what we need. A strong arm owner who wants to make money. And that's why get Aaron Rodgers.
That's why it's the Jets. I told you. Nathaniel Hackett. The Raiders. Josh McDaniels wants nothing to do with them.
I know Josh McDaniels doesn't, but if the owner says he's going to make me money, get him. They'll do it.
I don't know.
That's the difference.
I don't care. I don't even care. Like David's saying, trade him to Houston for Cooks and a second round pick. First of all, he will never go for that. He will never go to a team that stinks like that. He'll have to go to a team that's either on the West Coast or has a chance to win. He's not going to a team that's just a disaster. No way. So I don't see that happening. Well,
you know this one? Schrodinger's cat theory? I'm not sure what that means.
That's something about if the cat's in the box and you don't know what the cat is, it dead or is it alive? You don't know what the cat, something like that.
Oh, okay.
So you put a cat in the box and then you don't ever know what's going on with the cat because you never see what's going on with the cat.
Ooh, Zero says.
We never see what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. We never see what's going on with Jordan Love.
Packers to trade A-Rod to the Cowboys.
No, Zero. It's never. McCarthy will never let that happen.
McCarthy's backing it all up on Dak. He's covering for Dak. He's blaming Kellen Moore. He's blaming everybody else. Dak wasn't the issue. Blah 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 blah. McCarthy's cleaning him up. Well, but this one,
I'm hoping Kellen Moore will unleash Justin Herbert because he's now the offensive coordinator of the Chargers. Make that guy, because his rookie year, he had a different offensive coordinator and they were throwing the ball deep. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 years, he's had the same guy who was Lombardi, who used to be at the Saints. And they were running the Drew Brees offense where he's throwing 2-yard passes all the gosh dang time. It's so stupid. You got a guy that can chuck it 60 yards in the air. Let him chuck it.
That's a good point. If Jerry Jones wants him, he will get him. But
Jerry Jones don't want him.
I don't think Jerry Jones really wants him. Jerry Jones loves Dak. Dak's his guy. We're good. But William G had this comment. Packers won't ever get the benefit of having Love on his cheaper rookie contract, like Philadelphia has with Hurts. That's literally the only reason we flipped out when they drafted Jordan Love.
Because it was dumb.
It's not that they drafted a different quarterback. That's fine. But when you had just signed Rodgers for a 4-year contract and then you drafted a guy, you were just blowing all those cheap years. Now, I have a theory, Ben. I have a theory.
Oh, so far every theory you have, I think is dumb. So let's hear it.
Well, let's see what you think about this one. Let's see what
I already think it's dumb. I already think it's dumb because
you don't even know it. You don't even hear it.
I already know.
No, just listen. Hear me out. Traditionally, teams will draft a quarterback high. That guy plays. If he's any good, then he gets a big monster top of the league contract, second contract, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm making sense so
far.
So
you're saying the Packers aren't playing Jordan Love so they can give him a cheaper contract and a second contract.
It worked with Rodgers.
Middle of the pack. I know.
Rodgers' first contract, right after his rookie deal, was not that high.
I know.
So if you calculate the numbers over if they're projecting Jordan Love to be a 15 years player or whatever, and you calculate the money numbers over the course of that said player's career, does it actually cost you less money if you can save big on that second? Like if you can get him in for a 4-5-year contract at like middle of the road because he only has 2 years as a starter and he did fine but not great, versus top dollar, how much money are you saving for those 4 or 5 years? And is that actually a good strategy? Is that the Packers strategy?
Probably, except for the problem is this. If Aaron Rodgers gets traded, then the Packers win the Super Bowl this year with Jordan Love as quarterback, and all of a sudden he's going to get Joe Flacco money.
Come on, no.
But not because of him, because of Christian Watson and Aaron Jones, and the defense is coming around, and I'm telling you. The reason why the Packers didn't make the playoffs last year was the quarterback. And it drives me nuts that these people keep freaking... There's still so many dumb fans. This one guy, I don't want to say his name, but he's on Facebook. He constantly puts stuff on Facebook, and for some dumb reason, I see it constantly.
You got roped in.
And he puts stuff in there all the time, and he thinks it's a positive thing. He thinks that Aaron Rodgers saying that in 2019 he felt like a game manager, even though the team was 13-3, and then the next year when he was then he's bragging about his 2 MVPs, and he thinks that's a good thing. That just proves he's not a team guy. That just proves he's a D-bag, ass munch, zero butt monkey. And there you go. I don't understand why these fans, and like, it just, how does LaFleur not see this? Somebody better tell LaFleur that he's like, listen, it's out there. He's pretty much saying you're dumb. Your offense sucks. He's smarter than you. He won 2 MVPs because they switched to what he wanted to do. You had nothing to do with him winning those 2 MVPs. And the bottom line is it's true. He only won the 2 MVPs because they force-fed the ball to Devontae Adams. They took the ball away from Aaron Jones when they got inside the 20-yard line, which they did again last year. And guess what? Last year, it hurt them. Because they didn't have the easy Devontae Adams touchdowns like they used to have.
Yeah.
They got inside the red zone, and they were the worst freaking team in the NFL. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers sucks. Period.
He got his numbers, though, Ben, and that's what mattered, right? That's what he was, because it was all about him. What does Zero say here? Ben, how would you feel about A-Rod if he returns but gives $60 million back to the Packers? Zero, you're so funny.
No. I want him gone. I want him gone. I am done.
David,
don't be depressed. Just be angry.
Go watch the Lions play. The Lions are awesome. Did anybody watch the new Lions stuff? The new Lions.
You just said it seems like they were really, 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 really trying to make their owner look like a great owner. Like the whole first 10 minutes was about how great this owner is. I was like, wow, Dan Campbell's kissing her butt. All the players are kissing her butt. They're all kissing her butt.
She signs the checks.
It's the same owner the Lions have had for years. So I don't see how she's that great of an owner.
Well, because
and they're acting like the Lions won the dang Super Bowl. Listen, the Lions got lucky. They played Aaron Rodgers, who decided to throw them 3 picks when they had 1 win and gave them life. And then when they had nothing to play for, so they were playing with house money, they also got the luck of playing Aaron Rodgers, who, of course, his last pass as a Packer so far, hopefully, was an interception. So there you go. That's what happened with the Lions. They played one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this last year, Aaron Rodgers. He gave them a bunch of wins. He gave them 2 of their wins. They had 9 wins. Without Aaron Rodgers, they only have 7 wins. And the Packers, instead of having 8 wins, would have 10 wins if they started Jordan Love in those 2 Lions games. Because he wouldn't have threw the ball to the Lions 3 freaking times when the defense only gives up 15 points in that first game.
That pass, I mean, so many passes were terrible in those Detroit games, but that one to Dave Bakhtiari was absolutely one of the worst. One of the worst passes I've ever seen. I mean, it was like 5, but it was 5 yards short. Like, everybody made a big deal because Aiden Hutchinson picked it off, but it was 5 yards short. That's the only reason Aiden Hutchinson could pick it off. Bakhtiari was actually open.
He threw it jumping backwards off his back, like he had no support underneath him, and he was jumping backwards away from everybody. He tries to be like Favre, but he's not Favre. He doesn't have the power of Favre.
That's true. He does not have the power of Favre, but hopefully he has the same trajectory in his career. All right. Shout out MVS. MVS was happy after the game, even though he didn't get to be much part of the Super Bowl, but he got to be a part of the AFC Championship game. MVS, congratulations. You could not get a Super Bowl by staying in Green Bay, but you got one by going to Kansas City. Congratulations to you.
Oh yeah, and one more dig on Aaron Rodgers. Apparently, Travis Kelce is hosting Saturday Night Live.
What?
Which has been a dream of Aaron Rodgers, but they won't invite him.
Oh, of course they wouldn't. Like, come on.
He's wanted to do it for years.
He's such a dud. Why would any?
I know, but Travis Kelce. I don't think Travis Kelce is going to be that great. But I mean,
no,
whatever. I mean, he just won a Super Bowl, so I guess that's why. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers would have won a Super Bowl in the last 12 years, then maybe they'd have him on. Yeah, but he hasn't. Man, I am a jerk. I don't care. I hate him. Goodbye.
If he went to the Jets and won a Super Bowl, they'd have him on. But there's a lot of ifs.
I'll say this: you know what though? Hey, I was just thinking about something. God dang it!
What you got?
If Aaron Rodgers went somewhere and turned into old Aaron Rodgers and started taking shots and like doing crazy stuff and played great, and he won a Super Bowl, I'd be happy for him, to be honest. Like, I hate him, but I don't hate him. I hate the way he plays. I hate the fact that he has taken over the team by the way he plays and the fact that he never takes blame. That I hate. Like, I don't hate the man. I hate his game. And the fact that he gets no blame. But he is a talented player and always has been. I mean, for 10 years, I loved the man. Because he got rid of Favre. That was the best. Because Favre would throw 20,000 interceptions, and I was like, what is this guy's a moron?
Right.
So, and that's the only reason why I hate him so much, Rodgers so much, is because I used to love him so much.
Well,
and when you see what he's doing to the team, by his decision making on the field, it just drives you nuts as a fan. You're like, what are you doing? Any freaking second-year quarterback would make the right throw or the right read there that he doesn't do. And when are the coaches going to call him out on it? Or at least hold him accountable?
Too big. Can't do it.
I mean, you can't call him out in the press, right? But at least like within the building and maybe in front of his teammates. But they don't do that either. So I don't know.
Can't do it. The only people that could do it would be, like a Super Bowl winning, well-established coach, and or if you had like a dominant, I don't even know. I'm trying to think if there's a receiver in the league right now that's got at the stature that could call him out for being a piece of garbage.
No, there isn't.
But I don't think there are any left. It would have had to have been years ago when it was kind of those long-term guys that were in there that were dominant for such a long time and start playing with him. And he's like, but I was thinking about that too, right? So I looked up statistics because Aaron Rodgers liked his statistics, right? When he had to say exactly when they found my replacement, couldn't even name Jordan Love. And then had to say, and then I won 2 MVPs, and then I threw 85 touchdowns and 7 interceptions or whatever the hell it was, or whatever it was. But he knew the exact numbers, given exact numbers. And then I was thinking, I was like, okay, so 85 touchdowns in those 2 years, and he knew how many there were. The 3 years leading up to that, before that, he had only thrown 67 touchdowns in the 3 years leading up to that. And I was thinking, right? So he goes through 17 where he had the injury. And I think mechanics wise, between that and then 18, when he got the knee shot right away in the first half of the Bears game.
Yeah.
Then he's like, that's it. I can't have my feet on the ground, so I can't take those injuries. And so I'm just going to have terrible mechanics and just use my arm and my body and blah, 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 and mastered his own way about doing everything. And the problem, though, is he does that all the time. He does that when there's traffic around him, and he does it when there's absolutely nobody around him. But he is talented enough that if he set his damn feet and threw the ball the way he used to throw the ball when there's nobody around him, he could make big plays and great plays still. But he missed a bunch of them because he's gotten into this pattern of doing stuff that way because he's basically playing to not get injured all the time, even when there's no possibility of getting injured, which is dumb, but it's the way he's been playing for years. Well, but I think it all stems back to that. Is the 17 and the early 18, that first game of 18, he's like, that's it. You know, I'm done setting my feet. I'm going to do stuff with no feet. That's it. Or back foot all the time.
Well, except I think he changed his mechanics back to being correct in 2020 or was it 21? Whenever they asked, I think it's 20. When everybody asked him, when everybody was like, "Oh, well, what'd you see?"
I noticed some things.
Yeah, he noticed that he played like crap. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't using his legs at all.
I know.
And that's why 2021 or 2020 was a great year. He had all 40-some touchdowns, and he was awesome. And the next year, he only had 30-some touchdowns. He yet somehow still won the MVP again, and nobody knows why. I don't. Nobody knows. But I'm just sick of him. I don't want to talk about him anymore. Can we just get it done with, please? Trade his ass. Let's go. Let's get it over with so we can move on. Figure out what's going on. What do you think of all these guys being extended out? So you got Kenny Clark, Dave Bakhtiari.
Hacker's been doing some
Preston Smith,
gymnastics here.
Aaron Jones. But here's the thing. I really don't like it. I really don't like it.
What don't you like? What would I mean? I understand most of it. First of all, the Jair contract had to be reworked. It was way too high.
No. Jair's fine. And the Kenny Clark, Jair and Kenny Clark needed to happen because their price tags were ridiculous.
Right.
Preston Smith, no.
Right.
Preston Smith should have been let go, released.
Yeah. I agree with that.
He's not a good enough player. And I know the reason why is because they have nothing else. I know that. It's the same problem with Nick Perry when they signed him to a contract because he sucked, but they had nobody else. So they had to sign Nick Perry back. But he was terrible, right? And then he only lasted 1 year and then got rid of him because he stunk. It's the same reason why they gave Kenny Clark that big deal because they had no other defensive lineman on the team who could even play. True. So they were forced to give Kenny Clark a big deal, even though he's not that great, even though everybody keeps saying he's so great all the time. So I understand, and I know why they extended Preston, because they're worried they have nothing else there. But the problem is, all these players, like by letting Lazard, Tunyon, Big Dog, all these guys, Amos, all those contracts being voided, that's like, you're getting plus by subtraction there, right? You're getting better because these guys were not as good as probably the replacements would have been. Or maybe second-year players or rookies or whatever that after a little bit of time. That's the other thing. Like, if they would have played Devontae Wyatt from the start of the year, by the end of the year, maybe having that experience would have gotten him to the point where he was a really good player. Same thing with, Christian Watson and Kingsley and Igbari when he got to play more, it was great, right? But I don't know. What I know is now you've extended the cap hit for Preston Smith even further down the line with more cap hit years from now. Because guess what's going to happen next year? They do the same thing, or are they going to just let him go again? Because all they're doing is taking whatever he is, giving him that money right now, and shoving it to have to go on the cap for future years, even when he's not going to be on the team. And they can keep doing it. And the same thing with Aaron Jones. Like Aaron Jones, I love Aaron Jones. But by doing that, you're just wasting money in the future. And these guys aren't going to help you win now, whether Aaron Rodgers is back or not. You're running back the same team? For what reason? You weren't good enough to win last year. Why would you do it again this year? Especially when you're losing half those older players that aren't that great. It makes no sense. The Kenny Clark and the Jair Alexander, those two had to be redone, yes. Because they're core players that will be on the team and for 4 to 5 years yet, because they're both younger players. Preston Smith, no. Should have just been cut. Dave Bakhtiari probably should just be cut or traded. And Aaron Jones, I don't know. They could have cut him and then re-signed him again. It would have saved more money. Or it'd be about the same. I don't know. It's just,
you think
and I love Aaron Jones, but it's just weird.
Aaron Jones said year 7 is going to be crazy at Lambeau. What does he know?
He knows that Aaron Rodgers ain't coming back. That's what he knows. And he knows that he's going to be the leader of the team. I mean, who else is there?
I think that's what they told him when they reworked his contract.
Yeah, you're the leader. You are the leader.
You don't have to share. You don't have to be birthday buddies with Aaron Rodgers anymore.
I mean, Jordan Love, if this what happens should happen, Jordan Love will have to be the leader eventually. But Aaron Jones will have to be, like the guy who, I don't know, like the veteran savvy. He's not really savvy. He's just kind of a ding dong, but he's awesome. He's a nice guy.
He can help a first-year starting quarterback.
But I mean,
greatly.
Eventually, he has to give that mantle of leadership over before the season is probably even started. You know what I mean? Like, he has to be there for mini camps and let Jordan Love take the lead. But they can't, like, if they bring Big Dog back, like a lot of people are talking, like Eddie Herman's talking about Big Dog coming back. I'm like, please no.
I don't know. Today he had a video. I didn't watch it.
Yes,
he said it was time to get rid of him.
No, he didn't actually. He said, well, if you sign him back for that same contract and you put on the void years and blah, blah. Like, we already are paying void years for Mercedes right now because we gave him a minimum deal and they gave him an extra couple million and they voided it a couple years out and that's what we're paying for this season because it's on the cap because those void years hit the cap when he gets let go. They're not really void years. They're void years to help you that season when it happens. But then the next year when he's gone, all that cap gets smacked to you. So we're already paying for Mercedes Lewis. Why give him even more money to pay for him?
Even more reason to take the Rodgers smack right now and be done with it, right?
Yes, God, I just don't understand. And I'll say this: Mike Tannenbaum was on ESPN today. I watched something.
Yeah,
he was saying he said that whatever team trades for Aaron Rodgers has to figure out how to take the $60 billion hit, and it's like, no, they take like a $15 million hit or $17 million hit because the Packers take the $40 million because of the whatever that is, and his base salary, which is 30 or whatever, would go to them. But then they can rework it to make it less. Yeah, if he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's just
but he's also one of the people who helped trade for Brett Favre to the Jets back in the day. So maybe that tells you something. Tells you he's a freaking ding dong.
Exactly. But I don't know. I'm sick of him. Let's go get him out of here. Are you ready to do some fun? Are we having some fun?
I think it happened. Yeah, I think it definitely could happen. Okay, what are we getting to here? You said you're making videos of what?
I got videos.
You got videos. Well, let's get to it. I want some videos. I like videos.
Is that what you want right now? The videos?
Yeah, let's do some videos.
I can see if I can share it here.
Are these videos about are they with your top 10 tight ends?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't have much of anything. I had a couple notes for the safeties. I ran out of time. I got big news, but as you may know or may not know, I've been a little consumed by some things around here, but, working on stuff. Anyway, Wyatt asked $15 million hit in 2023, $30 million hit in 2024 for trading team. Then they got a dead cap hit in 2025 of $60 million.
Right.
But that can be spread out.
Right.
Thank you, Wyatt.
So the team that trades for him is only taking that 15. That's why it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Then you just force him to retire or hope he gets hurt really bad or whatever. Hope he goes to another dark place and then comes back. I've been in a dark place for a while, but I'm coming out of it as well, just like Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, that's good.
What is this?
Are you ready? Are you sharing
ready? Yeah.
Are you sharing it? Here we go.
Let's see it. Holy man. Top
10 Packer tight ends of all time. I don't know if I put the all time on there.
All time.
The reason why we did it, we were talking about doing these top 10 lists or of all time because I was like, can you remember last time we had a tight end that was like awesome? And we both were like, nope. And then also we need a tight end really bad. And also same thing goes for safety. So we were like, ooh, tight ends and safeties. Those are two positions where let's look back at Packer history and see what happened or what did we have at those two spots. And now we've had some pretty big name safeties over the years, but tight ends were kind of like, I mean, we had like a guy for a year or two or this or that, or he's a so-so guy, or he caught a lot of 1-yard touchdowns or whatever. But it's interesting to go back and look and see what happens.
We had a Keith Jackson at one point.
Yeah.
But he wasn't nearly as good as he was earlier in his career. He was a little overweight back then. He got a different nickname.
Yeah. Well, fatty.
Did he make your list?
I'll tell you in a second. So I looked at 18 tight ends over the Packers history. Now, I don't know much about the Packers before 1982. So I have a couple players on the list from before 1982. I don't know much about them. I don't know if there were any other players that played tight end that were good, besides these two guys, like in the earlys, and if they even had a tight end position back in like the 1930s. And so
there's wondering if Safties is in there.
No, he wouldn't be a top 20 Packer tight end in the history of the Packer tight ends. I don't know what Andy Herman's smoking where he thinks he's so good, but he's
what
not.
They've done when they're on the Packers, right? So he might have been great before, but
so I ranked them by a couple different things. Like I have all their stats as Packers. So this is just their Packer stats. I don't care what they did outside of Packers. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys were on other teams and came to the Packers. Some guys were Packers, went to other teams and so forth. And nothing that they did on other teams matters to this list. This is top 10 Packer tight ends, what they did as Green Bay Packers. Okay. So here we go. The number 10 tight end. I'm going to tell you his stats. Are you ready?
I am ready.
He had 53 catches in his career with the Packers for 647 yards, which is not a lot. It's not very high on the list of tight end yardage. However, his key stats are this. He averaged 12.2 yards per catch while a Packer. He averaged 7.9 yards per target, which is almost 8 yards per target.
Okay.
And only caught 64.6% of his passes. However, this was during a time where, they couldn't get away with murder like they can now, or the safeties and everybody could smack the crap out of you. So it was a different time period. He also had 10 touchdowns in one season. Do you think you know who that Packer tight end is, Jason?
Let's see.
53. Okay, here's another stat. He played in 25 games.
Mm-hmm.
He only started 6. But during those 25 games, he was targeted 82 times, had 53 catches for 647 yards. He had 11 touchdowns in his Packer career. And like I said, he had 10 in one season. So he was a huge monster in one season.
Ooh. I think you gave me this one, sort of.
He also has one Pro Bowl as a Green Bay Packer tight end. That was the year he had 10 touchdowns in that one season.
That's Keith Jackson then.
You got it. Number
He's
10.
in the top 10.
Number 10 is Keith Jackson. And here you go. You got some Brett Favre throwing to Keith Jackson. Look at that, rumbling, bumbling, and stumbling. High legs and everything. Keith Jackson. Pretty exciting, huh? He played only 2 seasons with the Packers. And, of course, he had a Hall of Fame career with the Eagles and so forth. But, oops, don't look at that. Look away. Okay, we'll go back to this. So, Keith Jackson, what do you think about that? Interesting, huh?
That surprises me, especially with only a couple of years. But you did a good job. You rounded your whole list out to 10. I only went 6 deep on the safeties because after 6, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I would just say, I mean, the categories that got me there was he had 1 Pro Bowl season out of only 2 seasons with the Packers, 12.2 yards per catch, 10 touchdowns in 1 year, which is pretty awesome, and 7.9 yards per target. Those are really key stats that, it was only 1 year or 2 years he was with the Packers, and 1 year that it was huge at the Packers, but it had a huge impact, and they won the Super Bowl, when he was on the team, I think. So that's not nothing to sneeze at, right?
That's pretty good. And on this still shot right here, you have the number 1 Packer tight end with 17-year-old girls.
Okay, just calm down. All right. Okay, so the number 9 tight end is a guy that I couldn't keep him off the list. I was thinking, I don't know why I was like, this guy really did he really do that much? But I guess he did. The number 9 tight end of Green Bay Packer history, played 6 seasons with the Packers. He played in 92 games, started 49 of them. He was targeted 255 times, caught 178 targets for 1,655 yards. That's a 9.3 yards per catch, which is 3 yards less than Keith Jackson averaged per catch. He had 17 touchdowns in his 6-year Packer career, with 6 is the most in one season. He caught 69.8% of his targets, which is pretty good, but he had a measly 6.5 yards per target. So he wasn't much of a downfield threat, but he had 17 touchdowns, which is pretty good. And 1,655 yards in only 6 seasons. Can you name that Green Bay Packer tight end?
Yeah, he's Mark Chmura.
No, it is not. You should, if you watched before, you would have saw it was. Here it is. That Green Bay Packer tight end is
Donald Lee.
Donald Lee. Donald Lee. I know it's hard to believe, but he had 17 touchdowns. And when you look at some of these other guys, a lot of these other players didn't even have that many. Guys you would think were scored more and made more of an impact. And they got Brett Favre slap on the butt right there. Oh, that was nice. Let's watch that again.
And Donald Lee had time with Favre and Rodgers. He had at least 1 year with Rodgers too, right?
I think so. Let's watch that Brett Favre smack on the butt. Ooh,
yeah,
man, that was a mysterious jiggly butt right there. I don't know who that is. 60. I don't even know who that is.
Favre he likes making a jiggle. You know that.
Oh, I gotta get that thing off there. All right,
that's very reminiscent of Statesman. Favre could have been a statesman if he could have sung.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, that was a lot of jiggle in that butt right there. Okay, so yeah, Donald Lee. It's hard to believe, I know, but the 17 touchdowns was kind of the thing that put him there. A lot of his other stats, not very good. Like yards per catch. Almost 70% completion or caught, which is good, very good. But he was just kind of there, and I didn't think he was. He was never the number one guy. I guess he was for like a couple years, but he
he was usually like the second tight end or whatever.
Yeah, he was like in the middle of a couple different guys.
Something I appreciate about these clips you picked out is that guy's wearing Lucas Patrick number right there, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is. It's weird, but okay. That's really bad. So if somebody knows that guy's name is, let me know. I couldn't read the back. Okay, so that's number 9. Number 8. This guy we all know really well. In his 5-year Packer career, he played in 68 games and started 18. He caught 137 out of his 176 targets for 1,437 yards. Averaged 10.5 yards per catch. So a little bit better than Donald Lee. Not quite as good as Keith Jackson. He also had 17 touchdowns in his Packer career. His completion percentage or catch percentage was 77.8, which is second best in Packer history.
Damn.
So far as the tight end position. And he averaged 8.2 yards per target, which was second best, according to the stats I could see. The older stats I couldn't look at for everything, but based on like the last 30 years. So he's second best in yards per target, second best in completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, 5-year career. Who is this Green Bay Packer tight end, the number 8 tight end in Packer history?
Zero says he's going to keep guessing Bubba Franks until it hits because he keeps guessing Bubba Franks. I'm going to say it's Robert Tonyan.
It is Robert Tonyan. And he has tied for a record with 11 touchdowns in one season, as we all know. And I just put the clip together of his big game against Atlanta where he had 3 touchdowns. So there's one there. Boom, smack in the end zone.
Zero switching it up here. He guessed Chmura this time. Wrong again, Zero.
And now Robert Tonyan, if they signed him back, he would probably move up higher on this list. But he had one huge, awesome season and then kind of a bunch of nothing. So it's hard to put him up there. But, I mean, that one season was amazing. 11 touchdowns, his Packer record.
Well, he showed it. I mean, in his rookie season or his very first season on the Packers, he got 1 target, that deep pass in Seattle.
Well, don't look at that.
No, we're not looking. But that deep pass in Seattle, right? I mean, the dude showed you he's got skills and he had speed and he could catch. And it's like, why wouldn't they use him for a couple of years? We don't know. Then they finally did. Then he lit him up. Then he got hurt. It's a crappy story, but there you go.
Yeah. I mean, but I was actually surprised by his average yards per catch was not that great. But
that's been brought down here.
The last 2 years we heard him. Yeah. And he isn't that great after the catch. He's great at catching the ball downfield.
Right. Zero yak. He cannot run after the catch.
Right. Okay. So number 7 tight end is a guy I don't even remember. Okay. He's from the 70s. So you're not going to know him. I'm not going to know him. He played 9 seasons with the Packers. He had 116 games played, 101 started. He caught 175 balls for 2,370 yards. And get this, a 13.5 yards per catch, second highest in Packer history. He had 13 touchdowns in his career, so not as much as Robert Tonyan has even had. But he played in the 70s. So how many times did the guy actually get the ball? I don't know.
Right.
And it's Rich McGeorge, number 81.
McGeorge
of the 70s Packers. So let's take a look at a play from. It took me a while to find this, but I found it.
Look at you! You did some good work.
There he is, 81, Rich McGeorge. Look at him.
Hey,
everybody giving him a high five, hugging him. This is from a 1973 game against the Jets, and I had to watch the whole goddamn game just to figure out to find him on there. But so let's watch that play again, since I had to find that play.
That's some good work for you. I mean, you did.
This is why it took so dang long.
Who's that quarterback right there?
That is what was his name?
Is he wearing 16 as well? Why
16.
Why so many Packer quarterbacks wear 16? Damn,
because they thought there'd be one better than Bart Starr. I don't know.
Yeah, they're trying to be close to. They thought they might accidentally get confused for Bart Starr and then get some more notoriety or something.
Yeah, I have no idea. So, whoa! You don't want to see that yet.
Magic Man.
Give it away. Oh, well. Anyway, so Rich McGeorge, no idea who this guy is, but 13.5 yards per catch. That's pretty dang average. Now, this is the 70s when everything was probably a bomb or nothing for a tight end, right? He's mostly blocking and then sneaking out and getting stuff, right? So pretty good for him. So that's number 7. Number 6, this tight end had a nickname that was the most cool nickname of all time. He played 11 seasons, the longest tenured tight end in Packer history.
Really? Wow.
Started 167 games. No, he played 167 games, started in 104.
Damn.
He had 202 catches, which is not even, it's third most catches in Packer history at the tight end position. He had 2,321 yards. He averaged 11.5 yards per catch, which is very respectable. It's better than Robert Tonyan even. He had 25 touchdowns in his 11-year career, with his best season being 5 touchdowns in one season. This man was the one and only, you already saw probably, the toolbox, Ed West. He could do everything. Block,
toolbox,
catch touchdowns, and I had to show a little magic man.
Yeah,
so this game against the Saints, Ed West caught 2 touchdown passes. So I found this out there, and there he is. Look at that. Ooh. Ed West, the toolbox, played 11 seasons with the Green Bay Packers.
11 seasons, damn.
And the magic man, whoop, there you go, Eddie West with the touchdown.
Do you see that stuff? Lindy Infante.
Don't look.
Lindy Infante knows that play action works. Look at that. Those are both play action passes right there for touchdowns.
Yeah, I want to watch Magic again because it's so nice. It's so nice to watch a spiral and a rollout and a guy who actually uses play action so well.
Yeah.
Both these touchdowns are play action passes in the red zone.
I know. It's smart. Lindy Infante, give him some cred. Lee says we need a toolbox. T-end.
That's what I'm looking for. I would like. I am sick of when we have a guy in the game, the defense knows what we're going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you said
it's kind of disappointing. I'm looking for a guy who you don't know if he's going to do it. Now,
I guarantee you that last play that they just ran would still work today.
Oh, yeah.
Play action to the running back to one side, run the tight end across formation to the opposite side. After he fakes blocking for a second, he's wide open. Touchdown.
Yeah. More than likely. So there you go. Ed West, one of our favorites.
Ed West, he was good. I remember
number 5 tight end. I think we already saw it. Gosh dang it. But it's a guy who had a chance to probably be a huge difference maker, but he got hurt early in his career. And that's Jermichael Finley. Jermichael Finley's stats, where are they? Gosh dang, there we go. He played 6 seasons with the Packers. Of course, one of his last season was cut short. He played in 70 games, started in 48. Out of his 323 targets, he caught 223 of them for 2,685 yards, which is quite a few yards. He averaged 12.5 yards per catch, which is very, very good. Better than Keith Jackson's. He had 20 touchdowns in his 6-year Packer career, with his best season being 8 touchdowns in 1 year. He caught 69% of his passes, and he averaged 8.6 yards per target, which is the highest of Packers tight end stats kept in the last 30 years. So he was most definitely a downfield, game-breaking type player. And it was kind of a shame that he got hurt because he could do stuff like this. Catch it, juke a guy, run away from guys, back stiff arm right here, get off me, scored a touchdown. That's Jermichael Finley. And it's exciting. It's one of those guys where, and of course, nowadays him and Rodgers don't get along or whatever. He always talks smack about him, but and he had a few drops every now and again, but still, I was surprised that he had 69% of catch percent, which is pretty dang good, actually.
Well, the dude was really fast, talented, tall, right? Could jump. And like you saw on that play, he had the ability to run with it after he caught it too and break some tackles from time to time. So, he was kind of a pain in the ass. He wasn't like that great of a blocker 100%, but he has definitely probably one of the most talented pass catching tight ends Packers ever had.
Yeah. All right. Our number 4 tight end. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I was not expecting I was never been a fan of this guy.
Which one do I pull up, Zero? Bubba Franks or Chimura here? Which one?
I never was a fan of this guy, but the stats don't lie.
We'll go Bubba Franks.
Are you ready for this?
Yep.
Three times this player was a Pro Bowler during his 8 years in Green Bay.
Here you go, Zero. You're right, finally.
Out of 114 games, he started 94. He had 393 targets and caught 256 of them, which is just 65%. Not very good. And a lot of those passes weren't very deep because he only averaged 9 yards per catch. So not only was he terrible catch percentage, he also didn't catch the ball downfield very far. He averaged 5.9 yards per target, which is pathetic. But the guy had 32 touchdowns. 32 one-yard touchdowns from Brett Favre. Because Brett Favre didn't care if he threw a 1-yard touchdown. And there's one right now. A 1-yard touchdown to Bubba Franks. His classic move. That was good hands on that one.
It's a good catch right there.
Yeah.
Murphy jumping in the air, throwing it. Damn. Bubba Franks, first round pick.
Bubba Franks. I never was a fan. And like I said, the stats, but 3 times the Pro Bowl, 32 touchdowns. You can't, in his 8-year career, that's second most touchdowns of a Green Bay Packer tight end in Packer history. So, you can't keep him out of the top 5. And
that's pretty good.
I had to put him up that high. So there you go. What do you think about that?
I think it's probably based on the tight end production the Packers have had. It's well deserved. And he was a first round pick. Hopefully, played that long. He was better, I think, than we thought. It's just that, I don't think they utilized him a lot in the passing game outside of the red zone. But clearly, based on the number of touchdowns he had, he was effective in the red zone. So,
and you got to think after watching this last Packer season, it's think of how important that would have been if we had a guy like that who is a good blocker but also could sneak out and catch passes. Oh wait, we were supposed. But Andy Herman says how great he is. I don't know. I think Bubba Franks is a better than Mercedes Lewis. No, Mercedes is old now, but still. I don't know. I guess.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't have much to say about that, but he did make the Pro Bowl 3 times, had 32 touchdowns, so I had to keep it number 4. Okay. That's the way it goes. Number 3. Here we go.
Number three.
Number 3. This guy played 7 years in the Green Bay. He went to the Pro Bowl 3 times.
Woo!
He averaged 12 yards per catch.
Yep.
He had 17 touchdowns during his NFL career, with his best year being 7 touchdowns. So I was actually surprised by that, how few touchdowns he had. But he did average 7.9 yards per target, which is pretty dang good. It's one of the best in the exact same as Keith Jackson, which is weird because it was his Super Bowl teammate, Mark Chimura.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't realize it was Mark Chimura. I was going to go with somebody else.
No, Mark Chimura.
Wow.
Look at these catches. Look at that terrible pass and a great catch from Mark Chimura. Wait till you see the last one.
Mark Chimura was really good at the stop and turn around pass pattern.
Ooh, don't look.
Catch. Oh, hey.
Yeah, I want to show that last catch because I was like, look at that last catch. Look at where his hands are. Ooh, crap. Whatever.
Chewy Murrah. Right. Wow.
So the next guy, that's Mark Chimura. I was surprised. Only 17 touchdowns. But I guess when Fatty Keith was taking all your touchdowns away for 2 years, that kind of, that'll probably do it to you.
Yeah, okay. I thought he'd have more touchdowns than that too, but he's a good tight end.
Yeah.
Some teenagers thought he had a good tight end, but anyway, never mind. Go on.
All right, stop. Number 2 is Ron Kramer. Okay, this is a tight end of the Packers when they were winning Super Bowls left and right and championships left and right in the 60s. So Ron Kramer played 7 years with the Packers. He made the Pro Bowl once, and he was an All-Pro once. He's the only Packer tight end in NFL history to get an All-Pro, to be an All-Pro at tight end. So that's something right there. No other Packer tight end has ever been an All-Pro other than Ron Kramer.
Wow.
So that'll tell you something. He had 170 catches in his career, in his 7-year career, for 3,272 yards with a whopping 13.3 yards per catch. That's right. Not 13, 15. I'm sorry. 15.3 yards per catch. I mean, he just dwarfs all these other guys.
That's like 3 more yards per catch than Devontae Adams. Nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he had 16 touchdowns in his career. But, I mean, let's face it, the Packers were running in a lot of touchdowns back then. They weren't really passing too much. So, and his best season was 7 touchdowns in one season. But that's Ron Kramer. I got one highlight of him, and it's actually pretty cool. It shows him just bulldozing through a bunch of guys here. Look at that sketch by Chimera. Nice catch. This is in slow motion.
Is this Bart Starr going back?
This is Bart Starr, yep.
Let it rip, baby.
Kind of a wobbler.
It's a little wingler. Ooh, it's a nice catch, though.
Here's Ron Kramer. 40's got him tackled, and he's like,
nope.
21. Nope.
No.
Nope. And watch this.
Come on.
He gets 5 more yards. It takes 4 guys to tackle him. 4 guys to tackle him.
You know, that's why I wore 88 in high school, because I think I saw that highlight once upon a time, and I thought, that's what I could do, too. And then reality set in where
I was just going to say, like, what?
I fell down usually before anybody got to tackle me. So I usually caught it, but I usually fell down before people tackled me. Go on.
So there you go.
All right.
That's Ron Kramer. And now number 1 tight end, I think everybody knows who it is. I don't think it's a surprise.
Well, all right. I'll save Rick's question for the end. David put a little shade in here at you just to jive you. He guessed William Henderson at one point, just to bring up William.
No. Anyways, the number 1 Packer tight end went to 3 Pro Bowls.
Holy moly.
In his 8-year career as a Green Bay Packer. He played in 119 games, started 102 of them. So he's the most starts by any Packer, even more than Rich McGeorge, who played 1 more year than him. But he had 102 starts.
More than Richie Rodgers, too.
He had 322 catches.
Damn.
Which is the most catches by a Packer tight end. He had 4,223 yards, which is the most yards by a Packers tight end. He averaged 13.1 yards per catch, which is third best, actually, after Rich McGeorge and after Ron Kramer, but those guys played in a little bit different era, right? And he had a whopping 39 touchdowns in his 8-year career, with his best season being 11, which is, of course, tied with the record with Robert Tonyan. And that man, of course, is number 82, Paul Kaufman. Getting passes from Lynn Dickey.
Yep. Let it rip, Lynn Dickey. Wore some big shoulder pads back in those days. Man, look, see, wow. Could have wanted to fall over a couple of times. Oh, so close. So close. But he almost fell over a couple times there, just kind of leaning, but he kept his balance. That's rare for tight ends. Usually they start leaning and they fall down.
Yeah.
So that's why he was number 1 on the list. I like it.
So that's my tight end list. Top 10 Green Bay Packer tight ends of all time.
Not that impressive, really, when you look at it.
No, not really. That's why I'm saying, like, what I'm looking for is a guy who can, I don't know, somehow combine the receiver with the blocker. I don't know if we could ever find that. But there's some interesting guys I just want to highlight here, that you talked about. Richie Rodgers, for instance. I was hoping Richie Rodgers would have made my top 10. He's one of my favorite Packers of all time. And I was surprised by this. Richie Rodgers, in his 4 years with the Packers, he only averaged 9.7 yards per catch. And he only caught 66.3% of his catches. Now, he had 13 touchdowns, which was actually pretty good compared to most of these guys.
I blame Aaron Rodgers for that lower, because Richie had great hands. So
he did have great hands. So I don't know what I was surprised. I thought for sure he'd be in the mid 70s, but he wasn't. So I was surprised, but he did make my list. Another guy I was surprised is, and he played the same amount. He played 4 seasons with the Packers, was Jackie Harris. I remember Jackie Harris kind of being a huge playmaker guy because he was on the team with Ed West in the early 90s, late 80s.
Yep.
And I always thought Jackie Harris was like a big, I can remember him catching a lot of deep passes and stuff. And he did average 12.2 yards per catch. But in his 4 seasons, he only had 9 touchdowns. I thought he had way more than that. So he only started 32 out of the 60 games that he played in with the Packers. So, I mean, he had some yards, 1,620 yards in 4 seasons, but it wasn't like enough to get him on his numbers were dwarfed by Keith Jackson in his only 2 seasons. So unfortunately I couldn't get Jackie Harris on there.
He went to play for the Cowboys later in his career, right?
Yeah, he was playing for a couple. I don't remember who it all was, but
like I know this is just
right. This is just Packer stats. Like as a total career, maybe he would have been obviously better than some of these guys. Another guy who surprised me was actually Tyler Davis. He was actually pretty good. He played 6 seasons with the Packers. He had 13 touchdowns, averaged 11 yards per catch. However, he had a 54.6 catch percentage, which was so bad. I was like, I don't care if he had 13 touchdowns. I can't keep you on the team.
Was it Tyrone Davis? Is that who you're talking about?
Oh, Tyrone Davis? Yeah. Is that what I said? What did I say?
Tyler Davis. And isn't he the one that's on the team right now? Or was
no. Yeah. He sucks. Tyrone Davis. Yeah.
Tyrone Davis. Okay.
Him and Andrew Corliss are buddies.
How was Andrew Corliss? He's the only Packer tight end I've met in person. And
Corliss had 6 touchdowns in 5 years. He had just under 1,000 yards receiving on 89 catches. It was ho-hum, 63% catching. Yeah, it wasn't great.
He had bad hands. Bad hands for sure.
Yeah, really bad. There's a guy named Fleming. I don't know when he played. He had 12 touchdowns in 7 years. But I don't know I don't know who that was, so I just left him off the list. Sorry.
I got you.
So wait, one more guy or 2 more guys.
Yeah.
There's a guy who played 5. This is just a quiz for you, Jace. There's a guy who played 5 seasons with the Packers.
Okay.
He played in 75 games, only started 7. He had 55 targets, caught 38 of them for 421 yards, had 11.1 yard average per catch, 3 touchdowns in his Packer career. He caught 69.1% of his passes, and he had a 7.7 yard per target. Who is that amazing Packer tight end?
Yeah, the great touchdown celebration, and he was great at special teams. Jeff Thomason.
Jeff Thomason. Yes. Amazing. And then one more shout out to my guy.
Type it in the comments if you remember Jeff Thomason.
Jeff Thomason with the JT. I don't know what he did, but he always did this at the end. Anyways, and then one last guy who's had 3 seasons with the Packers has the highest catch percentage in Packer history at tight end. Can you name that tight end?
3 seasons with the Packers?
3 seasons with the Packers. He caught Josiah DeGuara. 78% catch percentage.
Catches all things.
Catches everything. I don't know why they don't throw him the ball more.
He had one drop in his career, and then Aaron Rodgers stopped throwing to him for a whole season. Yeah. But he can run with it after he catches it. He is, I like him.
So there you go. That's the tight end stats and stuff. And nice it was fun. It was fun looking at all that stuff and figuring out who's good and who's bad. And like I said, that Fleming guy, I know who it is, so I didn't put him on the list, but whatever. And I couldn't find any video on him either, so I was like, forget it. Sorry, Fleming.
I would say that's still well done. Some good research, good investigation on there by you. Nice work overall.
Well, the hardest was finding that Rich McGeorge video. I watched like an hour of a game just to try to get a. Luckily, they threw him a touchdown that game. I was like, oh, thank God. Can you imagine if they wouldn't threw it? Because I watched so many plays, he wasn't even getting a target. He was just standing there blocking. And one time he even got a penalty. He got a false start. And I was like, dang it. No, not a false start. Get a catch.
You know what?
I just wanted to catch one pass. He couldn't even catch one pass.
Let me speak to this for a second. As a former tight end, I know no one thought I was a tight end. I was short and not that big, but played for a small school in high school, whatever. Tight ends block most of the time. You don't get the ball thrown to you very often. When you do, you got to catch it. Usually you're not in the greatest spot to do something with it. It's not a downfield throw and all this stuff. And then sometimes people give you a hard time because you fall down or whatever. It's fine, whatever. But tight ends, look, man, you play the whole game and you hope they throw it to you once in a while. And so what happened to me my last season of football was I basically caught one pass every game and only one pass every game. There was one game I caught 2 passes and one game I caught 0 passes, but every other game I caught 1 pass. I had 1 pass thrown to me, I caught it. And that was the whole season. And I had 1 touchdown. So, you don't get a lot of opportunities. So these guys, you got to give them a break. And they got to do a lot of dirty work and they got to block and you got to grab people's jerseys and hold them and do all that stuff. So I like tight ends. I have a big appreciation for them. I wish the Packers had some more historically good tight ends in their history, but they don't. And hopefully we get one this year. There's a lot of talk, right? Everybody wants to draft tight end. Well, there's some guys.
The first word out of Goote's mouth when they asked him, "Hey, what kind of things you guys need to do with this roster?" His first words were tight end. You got to do something about tight end. So
he talked. Isn't that a change? Didn't you notice that as a change?
Yes.
Every other year, the Packers talk about best player available, best player available, best player available. This year, Gute specifically said areas we can improve in and get better in. That's where we're going to focus. That's a drastic change for this team.
Well, I think it's because they don't want to.
But it makes sense.
Sign guys to big contract. Like I think they're gonna have to sign guys to the 1-year contracts again. If Packer fans think they're gonna get long contracts with veterans like they did in 2018 or 19, it's not gonna happen. It's gonna be stuff like last year. It's gonna be the Jaron Reed and the guys like that. The 1-year contracts to just fill spots because they don't want to end up being tight in years to come. Because eventually they're going to have to make the cap work for them. And if they keep signing these guys these long contracts and then have to keep restructure them, it ends up being a mess. So I think Gute knows that. Like their only chance is to sign players for 1-year deals or target these positions in the draft. And I think that's one of the things that Packers are going to be doing this year.
Well, and it's something we've talked about for a long time. You have 11 players that can be on the field on any given play. Please draft players that can be on the field versus stacking up more talent just because it's best player available. And then you've got guys backlogged at positions and you have other positions where you're scratching and clawing to find somebody to throw in there. It's just dumb. Anyway, safety is another one. And we gave me the task of top 10 safeties. I could only find 6. Actually, I found 7, but I had to eliminate one. Because for various reasons, we'll get into that.
Darren Sharper.
Yes, because if you're a convicted and when I looked up Darren Sharper on the internet, it doesn't even say, it says convicted rapist and professional football player. Like when it leads with convicted rapist, you don't make my list. I don't care how good you were or how many good good seasons you had and all that crap. Sorry, Darren Sharper. And not only that, he raped people and sexually assaulted them, but he drugged them. He drugged all these people. Like, sorry, bro, you're out. The guy was a really good football player, better stats than I even realized, and then went on to have
69 pass defense.
I mean, crazy, right? And all the interceptions. He had like 9 interception season with the Saints, 9 interceptions season with the Packers, and But you do that crap, you don't make any list. The only list you make is
he had 36 interceptions as a Packer.
You make the bad list.
But that was kind of why I made you do the safety list.
I know.
I didn't want to have to put him on.
So a lot of people are saying the Packers get better at safety. Speaking of safeties, before we get into the list, did you see Rudy Ford's recent comments?
He said he can freaking help the team and be awesome.
Said he's the
no
man.
matter what it is.
Said
he is the man.
That's what he said. I've showed I can be the man. So pay me and sign me to get me on the field. Damn.
Yeah, he was just talking to the Packers. He's talking to everybody. He's like, sign me. I don't care. Whoever you are, sign me.
Damn.
People are dumb if they don't sign him. Rudy Ford needs a decent contract. He was a good player.
All right. So we have the top 6 Packer safeties of all time because really below 6, it wasn't worth including any names. All right. Number 6. I don't have a lot of info here. I didn't have time to put together all the stuff that Ben did because
I got some stats, but
I was doing stuff. But here, let's go for number 6. Let's see what you think about my top 6. This guy played 9 seasons for the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Had over 100 tackles, 3 straight seasons as a safety.
Ooh.
Now That tells you, number one, that the other guys weren't tackling that much, which kind of sucks if the safety's got to make over 100 tackles. But at least he was there and he did his job. He had 22 interceptions and 22 fumble recoveries.
Oh, and he played in the 70s?
And he played back a ways.
Oh, okay.
And he is one of the worst Green Bay broadcasters of all time.
Yes,
but
he
a
is.
pretty good safety. And that is Johnny Gray.
Johnny Gray.
Johnny Gray. On this list, but he's number 6 on my list. Johnny Gray.
Johnny Gray. I remember loving Johnny Gray. The best part about Johnny Gray was he'd be doing the shows with other Packer guys after they do the Packer after show. And the people would be like, "Hey, Johnny, something. And the Packers really dominated the run today." And the first sentence Johnny Gray would say would be like, "Well, yeah, the Packers dominated the run today." Like, he just, whatever the guy said before, that'd be the first thing Johnny Gray would say after every time. And we used to make fun of him for it all the time. But yeah, 22 interceptions, 22 fumble recoveries. Or was it forced fumbles? I can't remember what you said, but it sounds pretty good.
Fumble recoveries, yeah.
Fumble recoveries. That's 44 turnovers in a 9-year season. That's better than any Packer I can think of in the last, I don't know how many years. So, yeah, that sounds great. Johnny Gray, number 6. I agree.
All right. Number 5 is not known for being a safety.
Oh, I know who it is.
Number 5 played a pretty long career with the Packers. His final 6 seasons, he played safety as well. This was way, way back in the day. Had 30 interceptions in 6 seasons as a safety. One of the best wide receivers in the history of the NFL and one of the best Packers of all time, but also one of their top 5 safety of all time. Don Hutson played safety his last 6 seasons for the Packers and had 30 picks and made an impact, and also played safety as well as wide receiver. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I know. I saw that when
it's insane, right?
Yeah. When I looked up when I was doing it at first, before I made you do it, I saw that he had 30 interceptions, and I was like, did he play both ways back then? Like, what the heck's going on? And I understand. I mean, if you got a guy that fast who seems to be like a playmaker, yeah, just put him back there and have him pick everything off. And that's probably what he did. I don't know if he did much tackling or not, but I could see him getting tons of interceptions because, the best receivers in the league. Yeah. So I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with you putting him in there as a safety, but that's okay. I'll give it to you.
Come on. If you had 30 picks in 6 years, I'm going to give you credit. And technically he was safety. He didn't play corner. So we're just looking at safeties here.
Okay.
All right. That's
I thought you were going with somebody else with that one. But.
Number 5. Number 4 on the list. He originally was number 5 until Darren Sharper was such a dirty piece of garbage that I had to take him off the list because he was the original number 4. Number 4 on the list was a dynamic player. Went to a tiny college no one ever heard of except for the people who lived in that town. The Packers drafted him in the 2nd round. He had a huge play in the Super Bowl, the last time the Packers won the Super Bowl. 21 interceptions in his shortened career, 4 defensive touchdowns in that time as well.
He's only number 4?
And 67 passes defended. 67 passes defended for Nick Collins. That's not Leroy Butler. Nick Collins, number 4 Green Bay Packers safety of all time. And only because his career was shorter. Like, if he'd have played a full career, he'd probably be number 2.
I would make him at least. I think he'd be number 3.
But whoa! Come on, you're putting him in front of Leroy Butler?
Shh. No.
Okay, well, we got some debates then. Nick Collins, number 4.
Nick Collins. I mean, another great stat for Nick Collins. He had 345 solo tackles.
Yeah, a lot of tackles.
And that well, he had more than that tackles, but solo tackles. That's a stat that means when the game was it was the difference between a touchdown or him stopping from happening, something big happening, right? Because he's the last line of defense. He made the tackle more often than not with 345 tackles in just 6 seasons. So I love Nick Collins. He's one of the best.
That's why I say he was incredible. Like, if his career wasn't cut short, he probably would have been. Yeah. Who knows where he would have been at the end? And who knows where the Packers would have been? They would have never drafted stupid and these other guys, whatever. But Nick Collins was freaking incredible, dude. No doubt. Yeah, Ultimate Evie says he was an awesome guy too. Yes, he was. All right, so that's number 4 on the list of the top 6 Green Bay Packers safeties of all time. So far, we got Johnny Gray, Don Hudson, Nick Collins. Number 3 on the list. Number 3 on the list was a longtime Packer, only played for the Packers. He had 12-year career, invented the Lambeau leap. You know what I'm going for. He had 20 and a half career sacks. He had 38 interceptions.
38, yeah.
Leroy Butler finally waited and finally got in the Hall of Fame, well-deserved. And Leroy Butler is the number 3. He's also wears number 36. Number 3 Packer safety of all time.
He also had 720 solo tackles in his career.
Yeah, a lot of tackles.
So he wasn't a very big guy. He was like, 6 foot, 198 or whatever he was, but he got his nose in there.
And then they turned him into a safety after 1 year. So
38 picks, over 20 sacks, 720 solo tackles. Pass defense numbers aren't there for him because they didn't keep track of him during most of his career. So we don't know what he did there for that ways, but I know he had probably a ton of them. But yeah, amazing guy, amazing player,
and still connected to the team. I mean, he's a hell of a dude, no doubt. He was he like All Pro? I want to say 4 times, and also he made the Pro Bowl quite a few times. Maybe he was All Pro like twice and made the Pro Bowl
twice. He was All Pro twice, and he made the Pro Bowl 4 times or 8 times.
Yeah,
4 times. Yeah.
All right,
I had it all written down somewhere. I don't know where it was.
Leroy Butler, number 3 on my list. So hopefully my list is okay so far. All right,
I'm seeing some names on my list that I'm kind of surprised they're not being named.
Okay, all right, well, fine. All right, well, here you go. Here's number 2 on my list. We got to go back to the 1950s. All right, 1950s. There was a guy. He made the Pro Bowl 4 consecutive seasons. Led the team in interceptions for 7 straight seasons. All right. Scored 5 defensive touchdowns in his career. In spite of being blind in one eye. He was blind in one eye the whole time doing all this stuff. And on top of it, he is the all-time leading interceptor in the history of the Green Bay Packers, and that is Bobby Dillon. Passed away not too long ago. R.I.P. Bobby Dillon. 8 years, 52 picks.
52
picks. Hall of Famer, led the team in interceptions 7 straight, and still the team record holder in interceptions for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw that number, I looked up the interception stats, and I was like, whoa, what? 52 picks?
Yeah.
Okay, I know the quarterbacks are bad and throwing wobblers like you saw Bart Starr throw that wobbler to Ron Kramer in that video I showed earlier, but I guess the other, and that, he won the Super Bowl. So think about the other quarterbacks in the league must have been really bad. So Bobby Dillon must have had his eyes open, at least one eye open, I guess, right? To pick off a bunch of balls. So that's pretty cool.
Why is this?
Imagine getting picked off
by a blind dude. And that is amazing. It is amazing, right? And I mean, and the record still holds up. He set the record in the 50s. It's still there today. Like he's still and this includes
and they played 10 games back then?
Corners. Yeah, you didn't have as many games, all this sort of stuff. They didn't throw nearly as many passes, all of it. And the guy still has the team record in interceptions of 52 and played 8 seasons for the Packers. 52 picks in 8 seasons. Okay? Come on. All right. Then we go on to number 1. Number 1 in the history of the Green Bay Packers. This was pretty clear, I think, when you look at things from the safety perspective. All right. Guy was selected to 8 Pro Bowls in his 12-year career, all with the Green Bay Packers. All 12 years with the Packers, 8 Pro Bowls. Originally was a running quarterback, but then they changed him to a safety, free safety, and a punt returner. Hey, that's a good combination, right? Safeties and punt returners.
Yeah.
He had 48 interceptions in his career, so 4 short of Bobby Dillon's record, couldn't break it. 2 return for touchdowns. He had 16 fumble recoveries. And he was a member of the 1960s All-Decade Team, the Packers Hall of Fame, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He had an 8-time Pro Bowler. And that is Willie Wood. Number 24 back in the day. He's this group's number 1. He's also my number 1. So
yeah, I mean, what more can you say? I mean, I'll say this much: it seems like the Packers had a heck of a lot more superstar safeties than tight ends over the years.
Even though the list isn't as deep, it's a lot more impressive, like top 5 or 6 than the tight ends were. But yeah.
And it just goes to show you that we haven't had one since Leroy. But before that, there was quite a few big time guys making plays.
Well, Nick Collins was, I mean,
he would have been.
Collins injury really hurt the team, right? I mean, that was a big one.
Well, the other thing is this: every Super Bowl team pretty much had a top notch, awesome safety on it. When you think about it, between Willie Wood, Leroy Butler, and Nick Collins, like we had a guy free safety back there who was able to like do something. And I know Leroy played strong safety, but him and Eugene would switch spots, and him and Mark Murphy would switch spots and do different. Not Mark Murphy, Mike Pryor would switch spots and do different things. Sometimes Mike Pryor played free safety, and Darren Sharper, but you don't want to name him, but he was back there playing free safety, and Leroy playing strong and switching back and forth and stuff.
Ooh, Bomb says Willie Wood was her favorite. All right,
no, he's pretty awesome. No doubt about that.
Those dudes. So that's my list. I can only do top 6.
Well,
and again, I was excited to work Johnny Gray in. When I saw what he actually did as a player, I was like, hey, all right, he's pretty good. I mean, especially
there's a reason why we talked about
fumble recoveries to go along with 22 picks. All right. No wonder they brought him on to talk about the Packers. I just wish he could communicate better about the Packers, but whatever. He was a good player, Johnny Gray.
I'm just going to shout out a couple guys you didn't mention.
All right, you go for it. I mean, there are some other guys to mention. Actually, I'd put Micah Hyde on this list if he'd have been on the team longer. Right. Been a safety, but he wasn't. So whatever.
Well, he wasn't. He didn't play safety with the Packers.
Got some ball guy. I like him.
Micah Hyde did have 8 picks, 24 pass defense in his 4 seasons with the Packers, and he had 184 solo tackles. Okay, that's pretty dang good. But that's Micah Hyde. We're not talking about that. We're talking about safeties. Here's a guy that I didn't think was quite as good. Listen to this. 10 picks and 125 solo tackles. Atari Bigby.
Oh, I read about him too. Yeah.
Atari Bigby had 10 interceptions. 10 interceptions as a Packer.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying he should be in the top 10. I'm just saying I thought that was very I remember him making plays, but I never think he had 10 interceptions. That's crazy. Another guy who, maybe people don't remember or don't talk about as much was Mark Murphy. Bald Mark Murphy.
Yep.
Who kind of held the fort there in the late 80s before Leroy came over, and him and another guy by the name of Chuck Cecil held the fort together and smacked some stuff around in the late 80s. And Chuck Cecil had 13 picks. Mark Murphy had 20 interceptions in his career.
Yeah, not bad.
With the Packers. I don't have solo tackles for Mark Murphy. They didn't keep track of that then, but Chuck Cecil had at least 340, but there's probably some that they didn't count before that happened. So he probably had more than that because Cecil would just knock people's heads off. But those are 2 guys that played together, and neither of them was like an awesome Pro Bowl player, but they were both very good together, and they did things that a lot of guys didn't do. Another shout out, of course, to Mike Pryor, who was the solid force that the Packers needed for a few years before they got Desmond Howard to just catch the freaking punt, which is something that, we, as Packer fans, we know over the last 5-6 years, we just wanted a guy who just catch the ball and not fumble it, right? Well, Mike Pryor did that for Mike Holmgren for a couple of years. And then, of course, the Packers got Desmond Howard, and that took them to the Super Bowl because they had the number 1 special teams. Another guy who I didn't think had this many picks in his short career with the Packers, Charlie Pepra. Had 15 pass defense, didn't start that many times, but he had 7 interceptions in his 3-year career with the Packers, and he had 134 solo tackles. It doesn't sound like much, but only 3-year career with the Packers, and he wasn't starting that much.
And you pointed out before, about
this. He was a key member to the Packers Super Bowl victory of 2010 season. He actually led the team in tackles in that game with 10 tackles. And he was the running mate with Nick Collins for a year and a half there. And because the first year and a half he didn't start, he needed an injury for him to get on the field. So, and then some guys like Morgan Burnett.
I thought about Morgan Burnett, and
who both.
Then I was lowering the standard so far. I was like,
yeah. Well, Morgan Burnett had only 9 interceptions, which is kind of sad considering how many seasons he was at the Packers. I think he was like 8 seasons with the Packers or 7.
I know he had a lot of tackles, and it's mostly because nobody tackled in front of him. So
Nobody
at least give him
tackled.
credit for that. But a
Yes.
lot of those tackles were like 10, 11 yards downfield and stuff like that too. So it wasn't like he was flying all over making big hits and plays like that.
Right. And had 14 picks, but we all know he should have had a couple more. And he only had 299 tackles because he didn't want to get involved in tackling. And he also only had 25 pass defense in 4 seasons, which is, I don't know. That doesn't seem like that much when you're on the field as much as he was.
No.
So I don't know. Kind of disappointing. I mean, Darnell Savage has 31 pass defense in his 4 seasons so far, which is better than But he only, here's the thing that's really shocking with Darnell Savage. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
In his 4 seasons, he only has 9 interceptions. So Ha's got him beat by 5. And we all know Ha stinks.
Terrible.
And are you ready for this? Ha had 299 solo tackles. So him tackling by himself, not with help from other people. Darnell Savage only has 189 solo tackles in 4 seasons. I mean, and he probably has 100 missed tackles. So that's probably the reason why he only has 189 solo tackles. But I just wanted to bring that up because, I can't stand Darnell Savage. But shout out to Charlie Peppera, Mark Murphy, Mike Pryor, and Chuck Cecil. Those are the guys that when I was starting to become maybe not Charlie Peppera, but Chuck Cecil, Mark Murphy, Mike Pryor. Those are guys that, in the early 90s, late 80s that were safeties that I was, big fans of, but obviously nowhere near the 6 guys you came up with on your list.
Well, we all know if the Packers have been smart enough to offer Micah Hyde a contract and then play him at safety, he'd probably be on the list, but that didn't happen. So that's what you get.
Yeah.
Anyway, I felt it was good reaching back into all, Don Hudson and Bobby Dillon. Like, come on.
That's awesome. I'll tell you this. It's, I'd rather talk about this stuff
than some of the old stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'd rather talk about this than talk about Aaron Rodgers crap. And I'm so over that crap. So it's nice to go back and see, the Packers had some awesome safeties. I mean, and every time we had an awesome safety, we won the damn Super Bowl. So how about if we get an awesome safety? Gosh, dang it.
Let's keep an eye on that for the draft. We'll keep an eye. I don't know. It's interesting when you take a look at what hopefully is going to happen, right? If they turn the reins over to Love, from what we've heard, if the messaging doesn't change and Gute sticks to his guns and all of that, do you really feel like Jordan Love needs some sort of dynamic tight end to be successful, for this offense to be successful? Or is it more important to strengthen the defense, shore up the defense, and help them out that way? I would think defense, because we've seen it how many times, I don't know. We've seen it how many times. Like, the defense is the key in winning most of the time.
This is what I want to say.
Yeah.
In Matt LaFleur's press conference when he was first hired, what did he say was the key to his offense? Do you remember what he said?
The mirroring everything up to make things look the same, but actually
the illusion of complexity.
Yeah.
Right. By making things look the same from the start, but have the plays be different after.
Right.
And what the Packers have done for the last few years is the exact opposite of that. When you have Mercedes Lewis in the game, you know what's going to happen. When you have Robert Tonyan in the game, you know what's going to happen. When you have Randall Cobb in the game, you know what he's going to do. When you have Devontae Adams, you know he's not going to block anybody. When you have A.J. Dillon, you know he's going to run hard up the gut. Right? What we need are players that are able to do all the things. Be able to be multiple at the skill positions. Like Alan Lazard. What's he going to do? Block and run slow and then fall down. Okay, great. But what does Christian Watson do? He blocks and he runs fast. And he catches a lot lately. And he did a heck of a lot better in the end of the year with his hands. But he's a player who can do multiple things. And I hate to say it, Amari Rodgers was a guy who could do multiple things. He could block. He couldn't punt return or kick return. That's obvious. But he should have been on the field. And if Randall Cobb wasn't there, then hey, guess what? He would have been there. And what we need now is a tight end. And we need a tight end, not like Mercedes, not like Robert Tonyan, not like Mike Gesicki, not like Travis Kelce. We need a tight end like Dallas Goedert. We need a tight end like Mark Andrews. That's the tight end I want. I want a guy who's 6'6", 250 to 260 pounds, who can block in the run game, has pretty dang good hands, can move a little bit with the ball when he gets it, and move after the catch, and be a red zone target. Be Bubba Franks mixed with a little bit of Mark Shimura. That's the kind of guy we need. Not a guy who, when he's out there, the defense knows, this guy can't block, so I ain't worried about him. Worry about him catching the ball. Don't worry about his blocking. Or this guy's out there and he's only going to block, and maybe he'll sneak out and catch a couple easy passes every now and again, but that's it. But what they need is, I want a Mark Andrews. I want a Dallas Goedert. That's what I want. A 6'6", 250 to 260 pound guy who could catch, great hands, red zone target, make block in the running game, block in the passing game if needed, to be quite honest, and do all the things. Because that's what Matt LaFleur told us his offense is supposed to do. But for the last 4 years, we've had tight ends who are specialty guys who can only do this, they can only do this, they can only do this. And it hurts the offense. It just does. If you want to run something that the defense doesn't know what's going to hit them, then you have to run players that can do all the different types of things. And that's the type of tight end we need. Now, I don't know which guy that is. I know Lee's been talking about some guys. Tucker Kraft. Sure. The guy from Notre Dame, I think, could do it. I've heard some things about the guy from Iowa that are not good. I hear that he's not very good. If the ball is thrown a little bit away from his body, he's a body catcher, not a hands catcher. That makes me not like him. Even if he is a good blocker, I don't care. I want a hands catcher, because a hands catcher is what you need for a red zone target, and that's what the Packers really need badly because they were so bad in the red zone. So I'm looking for guys who can hold up against the run, do great stuff, and that's what I'm looking at. And then you'll have guys like Christian Watson and that tight end and Josiah DeGuara, who's able to run the game, catch the ball, and move it with it after. He's your screen guy. He should be your gadget guy at fullback, right? And that's what I want. So I if there's a guy and he's good enough to take at 15 and he can do everything well, he doesn't have to be an all-star receiver or an all-star blocker. But if he is above average to very good at everything a tight end can do, that is more valuable in the Matt LaFleur offense than a guy who can just run fast and catch balls downfield, but he can't block anybody. Because we've already had that. And he's better than a guy who can block really great, but he can't run fast and he falls down. We've already had that. Give me the guy who can do all the things really, really well. Right? That guy is the guy we want at Packers tight end. That's the guy. We have never had him. We went over it already today. We've never had that guy. Even Paul Kaufman was more of a receiver than he was a blocker.
Two blocks,
right. Ed West, but Ed West wasn't really a downfield threat.
That's true.
I mean, he was a gadgety, sneaky, he snuck out a lot, but I don't know. It's just, we've never had a tight end like that. I think Bubba Franks is the closest, or Mark Shimura. Yeah. Mark Shimura is probably the closest to a blocker who could actually catch the ball and like do everything.
Yeah.
And he'd fall on his face. I'd rather have a guy who doesn't fall on his face right away after he catches it. But he had some good, like I showed you in the clips, he had some catches way out here and terrible passes by Favre, and he's just grabbing them, like doing all crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
I
mean, it's a good point. And the thing about the tight ends too, for a guy like some of the guys, they're so specialty. You just think about the type of offense you run, right? And I know the 49ers can do a lot with Kittle, and Kittle is dynamic.
Well, he's just a different mindset.
But yeah, he's an animal. He's a different kind of monster.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
We'll never find a guy like that.
But if you have, so you think about it, right? When you're running the offense that the Packers are supposed to be running, which you assume they would run with Rodgers not there, changing the plays and changing the structure all the time.
Yep.
Then trying to find a tight end that's a, crazy matchup is not an issue. It's not something you need to worry about, like you said.
No.
And that's what a bunch of the high, first round tight ends and early drafted tight ends are going to be, these crazy athletes that people are trying to put in a situation where they're a matchup problem. But you don't need that. So it's interesting that Lee brings up Kraft or some of these other guys that might be like a day 2. Can you find a value guy there that's good and has a solid skill set at a bunch of different things that you could maybe even develop and grow into being better at some of those things with the proper coaching? That would probably be the way to go than drafting a guy in the first round, but who knows what they're going to do? I mean, if they get a chance at Meyer, they'll probably go for him, right? Or whatever, the guy from Notre Dame.
There's also Washington. He's like
Dalton Kincaid is too small.
Dalton
like
Kincaid,
he's 240.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, I mean, he's not much bigger than DeGuara. So why would you get him?
And there's McGaskill from Tennessee. Yeah. He's smaller. I really want a guy that's bigger, like Meyer.
I agree with that. Yeah.
You know, I think there's a guy from Old Dominion or something who's supposed to be pretty big.
It's an important, like, blocking and have, especially we've seen it, right? We've analyzed plays. We've seen plays. We've seen what they've asked Marcedes Lewis to do the last several years. Sometimes he doesn't do a good job. Sometimes he does. But they ask the tight end to sometimes bear down on a full-blown 300-pound defensive end. And if the guy's 240 pounds, he's going to get his ass kicked. Let's be real about it. So you got to have a guy that's big enough and strong enough that can handle some of those blocking assignments. And that is just as important as what they do as a pass catcher. So to make this offense go. So anyway, I'm in favor of that. And that's a guy you can draft and you can plug in and he should be able to play. Just like edge rushers drafting him a little bit later. Get a guy that's solid or good, like Enigbare. Plug him in. You don't got to know a whole lot of stuff. Rush the passer, outside contain, control this gap. Like, what the hell different assignments do they have?
Yeah, I know. That's why
it's not that hard.
That's why it was confusing to me. They kept saying that Devontae Wyatt didn't understand his assignments and stuff, and that's why he couldn't get on the field. And I'm like,
so hard.
And even he admitted, I guess. And I'm like, well, what assignments are they doing at defensive tackle that are so hard that he can't figure it out? Like, get on your guy and hold up. If your job is to hold up and prevent, do a 2-gap and just kind of not penetrate, or if your job is to swim and penetrate, that's pretty much what you do. Like, that's what your job is. Like, you don't have much else to worry about, right? I mean, you have to watch where the ball is.
You have a gap assignment. That's it.
Right. And sometimes you have 2 gaps and sometimes you have 1 gap.
And sometimes you're 1 gap.
And that's it. Like, what else is there to figure out a defensive tackle?
If it's a pass, go try to get to the quarterback. But I mean, what?
I don't know. It's just weird that he couldn't see the field all the time.
Sorry.
But I think
dumb.
But I the only thing I would say is I hope a lot of people say, like, rookie tight ends have a hard time, they don't figure it out and they can't get on the game and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm not worried about this year. I'm worried about, let's get a guy who we like, because we've tried to get a tight end. We sign these veteran tight ends all the time, from Jimmy Graham to what's his face, the guy who caught tiptoes on the sidelines, Jared Cook.
Oh, Jared Cook.
Okay, he was hurt half the year. So how good did that do? Not that great.
Mercedes
Bennett. Martellus Bennett, Jimmy Graham. We've tried. How many of these old tight ends? No. Can we draft a guy with skill and development and then develop that player? Sure, maybe this year he doesn't quite help us as much as we need. But in the future, he will be a stud. You know what I mean? That's what I want. I mean, when Dallas Goedert first got to the Eagles, they had that other guy, Eifert or whatever. Not Eifert. What was his name?
Zach Ertz.
Yeah, Zach Ertz. Eifert was at the Bengals. But, I mean, that's something. He doesn't have to be great right away. Now, I would rather see him out there so he's playing and he gets experience and learns how to do things. But I don't care. I don't want another stupid old guy who they think is good and he's not. Draft a guy and then develop his ass. And I know they tried with Jay Sternberger, but Jay Sternberger was undersized.
He was always a pass catching guy who was slow. Who was slow?
Right. It made no sense.
4.7 something 40, and he's your pass catching tight end. Why? A 3rd round pick? No sense.
And then Robert Tonyan took off that year and made him irrelevant, and then they got rid of him, and that's the way it was, right? Because they already had a guy like that. And it's just dumb. So I don't know. Those are just, Darnell Washington. That's the guy I was thinking of. And he's like a big, tough monster guy, and he's not the fastest, but he's got, I want to see the combine stuff. I think he's going to be doing that. I think it's tomorrow. Is tomorrow the day tight ends go? I think so. It might be the next day. I don't know, but I can't wait to watch the tight end drills. It's going to be awesome to see how fast these guys are, what their agility scores are like. if there's a guy who's got 260 pounds and can fly, it can be like run a 4.6 at tight end at 260 pounds, and then also has pretty good agility. Draft that guy. I don't even care. He will learn how to play tight end, but he will be a matchup nightmare in the red zone, and he'll also be a very, very good player. I don't want any more of these one-trick pony guys. That's just, it's too predictable, and it's easy to take away. So let's get a guy who's good.
That's funny, Wyatt.
Yeah, Dawson Knox.
I don't know. Usually Gute goes by the Raz, but apparently in that one he didn't. Look, there's a lot of things the Packers can do, but I like what Brian Gutekunst said about focusing on the players that they need and areas of need. Like, look, I know there's the whole debate, and the Packers have drafted best player available forever and ever and ever, but sometimes that stocks up positions and sometimes it leaves you holes, and there's only 11 guys that can get on the damn field. So what the hell good is it if you're not going to put the guys on the field?
Well, we've already had it with Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And Rashawn Gary for 2 years.
Last year's freaking class a lot of guys played a lot of snaps, and they did well.
Yeah.
So let's get some more guys in the draft that can help the team now and get on the field. And you're not saying they got to do everything. You still want your veterans presence there to lead and help guys learn and grow and develop. But come on, like, get them on the field, man. Those guys some snaps. I want to see it. I want to see impact. And who knows what the Packers will do? Like, if they can move Rodgers, who knows what they'll get? All good things, though. And everybody's talking about Jordan Love is ready to play. His teammates, the players. LaFleur said some stuff during the season. Gute said it over and over. Definitively, the next step in his development is he needs to play. He needs to play, Ben. Sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's see some love this year. I think it's time.
Yeah. In the words of Kevin Green, it is time.
Damn. Let's do it. All right. That's all we got for you this week. Hopefully you like our lists.
It was fun. I don't know how often we can do it because it took a lot of damn time. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I might have some more time coming up here next week. Be better, but this week got a little crazy. So,
yeah. Well, we got some crazy stuff coming in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad are moving for the first time since 1985.
Woo!
It's been a long time in the same house.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Buck 16 in a row. Brooke Lopez, still the man. Giannis is doing great. Drew Holiday's shooting better, Ben.
Well, thank God. I mean,
shooting a higher percentage lately.
Couldn't get much worse.
Well, I don't know. He's shooting
he's the Sam Cassell of the. Oh, okay. He's not that bad, but
no, he
passes to Giannis.
Plays defense and stuff.
He does play defense. Yeah. He's not as bad as Sam Cassell.
Plus, he's a good dude, good human being. I like him.
And his name is spelled the way it's actually pronounced.
That's right.
Because most guys, they say their name is Drew, but it's Dreu because it's Andrew. And he just spells it Jue, and he's like, it's Drew. It's Drew, like a J. Drew. Yeah, I gotcha. That makes sense. Your mom was right, or your dad and mom named you Drew, and you just pronounce Drew, and it's spelled Drew. It's just like Jason is Drew.
Giannis was on the Daily Show and threw a little shade at Kevin Durant, so that's always good too. Nice.
Oh, he always threw a little shade at Kevin Durant.
He was just joking around, but he gave him a little extra in there to Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but none of the other superstars like Giannis, though. They all hate him.
That's because he's the man.
I know. That's why. Because he's the best. He's the nicest. He stays in Milwaukee, and all the other guys are like, well, you should be moving all over the place. You shouldn't want to stay there. And he's like, oh, I stay here because Milwaukee is the best because Wisconsin is the shit. Sorry, David. I know you're down in Mississippi, but damn it, Wisconsin is the shit. So great. Though I live in Minnesota.
They also don't like him because he plays hard all the time. They're like, damn, he just plays too hard and he just like works hard all the time. And they're like, well, that's why he's perfect for Wisconsin, man. That's what we do. Milwaukee's a blue collar town.
You know, when we. Oh, they didn't name me Jack. What? That's true. I know that when we were in Wisconsin for Christmas, we bought some spread cheese, like the port wine,
some real cheese. Yeah,
some good spread wine, port cheese or port, whatever it is, cheese,
port wine cheese. Yeah, I got
yeah. And by a certain brand, I don't know, whatever it was. And Olivia really loved it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now that she has a job, she has her own money. And the other day I went in the fridge and there was a whole new container. And I was like, I didn't buy that. Where did this come from? And I asked Jessie, I was like, did you buy this? She's like, no. I was like, well, Olivia must have bought it. There's only other person in this house, unless it's just magically showed up. And then I went to Olivia. I was like, Liv, did you buy that port wine in there? And she's like, yeah, but it doesn't taste as good. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Even though it's the same exact brand, but you didn't buy it in Wisconsin. You have to buy it in Wisconsin or else it tastes bad. I don't understand it. I'm telling you, it's the weirdest thing. I can buy the exact same brand of cheese in Minnesota as you would find in Wisconsin. And for some unknown reason, it tastes like dog crap or has no taste here in Minnesota. But in Wisconsin, of course, it tastes great.
They take the edge off because they don't feel like the Minnesota people can handle it.
And I never thought I was like a cheese guy until I moved to Minnesota and I couldn't find good cheese ever. I was like, this is garbage. This tastes like nothing, or it tastes like barf. It's either barf or nothing. And then, of course, Wisconsin, you get knocked on your socks. I remember that one time I told mom and dad, I was like, hey, oh, yeah. They're like, hey, we're coming to visit. You want us to bring something? I was like, yeah, bring me some extra sharp cheese, extra sharp cheddar. And they're like, extra sharp? You sure you want to go extra sharp? And I'm like, well, yeah, I get extra sharp around here in Minnesota. It tastes like freaking nothing. So what could it be like? And mom and dad show up and it's like crumbling because it's so, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you just you smell it and you're like, whoa, you take one bite and you're knocked on your ass. And I'm like, dang, they don't make cheese like that around here. That's some dang nasty ass cheese, but tastes good.
It's powerful.
It is
powerful cheese made in Wisconsin.
So my daughter learned the hard truth this year.
Yeah, you got to watch out for it.
Don't buy cheese in Minnesota. You ain't gonna find good cheese around here. Sorry, you only find good cheese in Wisconsin. That's like when we drive home. We drive past this one place and it sells. It's like it sells two things: cheese and guns. If that don't fit Wisconsin, I don't know what does. Cheese and guns. This one store, all it has cheese and it has guns. That's it. You know, it's like a little bumble fart back road, you know? Yeah. Okay. That's the end of that. Packers, let's go. Woo.
All right. We'll see what happens. Good. Look, it's encouraging signs, though.
Jordan Love time. Let's go.
The only thing is, you got to find somebody that'll take Rodgers. That's kind of becoming more and more challenging. But there's some owner that wants him, and it's all about the owner. If the owner wants him, they'll get him. So we'll be good. All right. You guys be good. Stay good. Have a great week. We'll catch you next week. Maybe we'll have new lists. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what goes on. We'll find out. Maybe Rodgers will give us, we'll find out about Rodgers by next week. That'd be great. Or we'll have some combine stuff to talk about. So whatever. Catch us next week. We appreciate you guys. We'll talk about combine for sure. Be good. Have a good weekend. And always remember, as I find the outro, to go Pack Go and say hi to Nico. Tell me why,